Hello, life group leaders. Welcome to another conversation on how to lead your life group successfully. So today wanted to share some thoughts from a book called Lead Small. This is kind of like 101 part 2, I guess. And so if you're already leading a life group, you know that it can be crazy hard sometimes to have a place where students feel safe sharing, having a group where students actually want to talk and actually want to be there. And so just wanted to help share with you kind of some ground rules that'll help you win in this area. And so this is really a culture conversation. So Pastor Jim, our lead pastor, would say culture is a staff member who's not in the room. So culture is kind of this unwritten set of rules that lets you know what's acceptable and not acceptable. So if you think about it, in San Antonio, dissing the Spurs is not culturally okay. Like you could get beaten up for that. Like that is just not cool. In San Antonio, not liking Mexican food is kind of makes you strange, right? Like this is just culture. In my family, I remember when I first started dating my wife, I invited her over for like Thanksgiving one year. And when she was ready to leave, she was at the door. She's like, "All right, bye, everybody." And I was like, "You can't do that." I was like, you can't just say bye and wave and leave a family of Mexicans. Like you have to go to every person and give them a hug and a little kiss on the cheek or a fake kiss on the cheek or whatever. And that's what you got to do. So anyway, that's culture. And so today we're talking about how to safeguard your culture as a life group leader. And so I wanted to share 3 things. These are taken from a great book called Lead Small by Tom Shefchunis and Reggie Joiner. And so first off is number 1, you want to lead your group. Lead your group. So if you're the leader, then feel free to lead. Don't let the students carry conversations to places you aren't comfortable with. It's up to you to maintain control of your group and create the culture of your group. So now let me balance this. If you're leading a life group of middle schoolers, and part of your goal is you're a new leader and you're just trying to really get to know them and make them feel comfortable around you, it is okay to rabbit trail. It's okay to take time and talk about whatever crazy thing on Netflix they're watching this week or whatever concert they went to, for the first time and it was such a big deal. It's okay to do that as long as you're comfortable with that, as long as you're okay with that. If that's building relational equity with your group, then by all means do it. But if you feel like someone is hijacking the conversation and taking it somewhere you're not comfortable with, somewhere you don't want to go, as the leader, feel free to lead the group and to create the culture of your group. That means you get to set the standard for your students. And a great way to do this is by letting them know your expectations ahead of time. Being able to say things like, "Hey, welcome to life group. Just so you know, in our life group, everybody talks. Everybody has an opportunity to speak. Everybody gets to share, and nobody gets made fun of. There are no bad ideas in our group, and what's said in the circle stays in the circle. We will not make fun of each other. This is a safe place." And just by setting up those kind of ground rules every week when you get started is a great way to remind your students of the expectations and to remind new students of what they can expect from being in the group. Students forget things like that. And it's okay to set the ground rules and even say things like, in our group, there's no name calling. Like we don't make fun of anybody in our group. And doing things like that. So number 1, lead your group. Number 2, respect the process. So keep consistency in your group because your students need to know what to expect. And if someone gets out of line, it's okay to correct those things in the group in a way that is not shameful to them or harmful to them. Like for instance, if someone just keeps talking over you, hey, bud, let's go ahead and let me finish and then let someone else speak. It's okay to do that. But then afterward, it's best to have some kind of semi-private conversation with that student that's just one-on-one where you're correcting their behavior before it becomes a trend. Now, here's something that I've learned the hard way. I was a school teacher for 3 years at a Christian school. One of the areas that I was the worst is in classroom management and discipline, as you could probably guess. I tend to be a softie. And so it's one of the things I realized, it's important to address problematic behavior right at the beginning. So if someone's doing something that's outside of culture, say, hey, bud, you may not know, but we don't do that here. Like we don't make fun of each other in the group. So, or saying something like, hey, let's go ahead and stop that, and we'll just, and hey, let's talk afterward. We'll talk a little bit more about that or something. Kind of deflecting, but then making a point to really address that behavior point on and saying, hey, when you were making fun of Stacy in the group, that's just not okay. Like in our group, like we get really honest about things, and we can't have a group where people are getting made fun of. Like bullying is not accepted here, or any number of things. If a student's on their phone the whole time, talking to them afterward and be like, hey, bud, I didn't want to make a big deal about this, but I just have to let you know when we're in life group, I need your eye contact. I need to see the whites of your eyes. Everybody in the group needs to know that you're there for the group and that you care about what we're doing. And when you're on your phone, it just communicates that you don't care. And I know that isn't the case. I know you better than that. I know that's not your heart at all, but I need your help with this. Can you help me with that? And then turning the question to them, can you help me with that? Giving them the responsibility and helping them to own it. So that's respecting the process, number 2. And number 3, guard the heart. And here's what I mean by that. That's protecting your students. That's making sure you're protecting your students, that you're guarding what is being said in the group, that you're not allowing gossip to happen outside on social media or in public places, that you're not advocating for bullying, all those kind of things, that you're saying, this is who we are, this is the kind of group we are, and if you're not going to abide by that, man, I'm so sorry, but like maybe this isn't the best group for you. And maybe that's a conversation, or please let that be a conversation you have with your head coach, with your service lead, before you decide to like kick someone out of your group. That's definitely not the intent of that. But the point is that when we're creating culture, it's important to guard that culture. And it's important, Pastor Jim says it like this. He says that negatives go up, complaints go up, but positives go around. So if you're dealing with something like that, you have a student who's just not respecting the culture you're trying to create, and you've had that one-on-one conversation with them, it is totally okay to talk to your head coach, to talk to your service lead and say, what do you recommend I do about this? And potentially even having a subsequent meeting with you two and that student, and just taking it to the next level in love, of course, in grace, but also in truth, like we talked about today. So anyway, hope that's helpful. Have a great day. And let me just say, I don't say it enough, but I'm so grateful for you. So grateful for the way you're investing in our students. So grateful that you've stuck around and that you're still here and that you're doing ministry with us. It's an honor and it's a privilege to get to work with you. Thank you.